every one of you, his beautiful family, his friends. You know, you each carry forth in his stead all that he invested in these relationships. He was a very lucky man. His whole life, people reached out to him in love and friendship. As a child, everywhere we went, he picked up a 4-leaf clover. The 4 of us thought that was a really lucky omen, and it was. The room is full of his good fortune. I'd like to read a poem that I wrote many years ago, trying to reconcile the idea of death with life. It's called The Continuance. Death's the temperance of life, the force that bids we see, that life is but a moment, a sparrow's shadow on the sea. Winging past the turbulence in life that pulls us down, closer to the purpose as our days in time abound. For we are much like the flowers, growing steadily towards the sun, always looking upward until our time is done. Then slowly as we wither and bow our heads back down, we find our feet are planted in roots beneath the ground. Thus we lie from whence we came, until the time and age our soul in life is sent again to fill a vacant page. Just yesterday, I noticed an empty space where life had been. Today, I see a sprout spring forth to live again. Yes, Junior was a lucky man, and the space that he vacated has already been sprouted with the lives he invested in. You know, our Grandma Hager was a quilter. They were poor, so her quilts consisted of salvaged pieces of old houndstooth wool, cut from trousers of one of her many sons. And you'd find blue flowered muslin and cotton cut from an old worn out dresses, stitched by hand, beside little squares of a child's old flannel pajamas. During the process of creating her quilt, there would be new colorful swatches as clothing was worn and used, cut into little squares and added to her pile, some requiring an additional patch for covering a sign of wear and tear that had occurred during the use of their original garment. They were serviceable quilts, not so much for beauty as for use, but even as a child I could see the art of her tedious labor. She took old, discarded garments and created a timeless beauty of continuance and renewal. Little reminders of each of us created the worth of those quilts and were very much a family legacy. On March 3rd, at 4:44 a.m., our sweet brother Junior was lifted from his earthly body. We know the exact time because his beloved wife Jan, of 57 years, was right beside him and had been forewarned of the time weeks in advance with constant awakenings at 4:44 a.m. Our family is left with a gaping hole and an extreme awareness of whom and what he was to each of us. He had a huge presence, a room filled with him when he entered. He had a special name for everyone and always took note of whoever was present. He was funny, a man of words. He was knowledgeable and a server of wonderful, beautifully prepared foods. Waiting for him to serve one of his gourmet meals could find you thinking there was a chance you might starve. He was such a perfectionist and took his time with the presentation while you anxiously awaited. He loved the serving. He was the kindest soul you ever met, and he will be forever missed. But I realize that much like Grandma's quilts, he will be held from this time forward in his portion of this family's tapestry. He has left with us all that he was in the beautiful family that he and his faithful, loving wife Jan created. Oh dear. Excuse me. Leslie, Jody, and Robbie and their beautiful families are truly a tapestry of wonder and delight, a testimony of endurance and creativity, carrying forth the very best of who and what he was. Looking at life, there will be nooks and crannies, peaks and valleys, bright shiny places filled with love and praise, and there will be shards and jagged places of hard times, filled with the struggle to stabilize one's worth in self-imagery. It's all there, sewn in place, and it's our acts of love and generosity where we salvage little swatches of ourselves as we reinvest in all we've loved, and like little sparks of colorful prism light, our renewal and continuance is assured in a family tapestry. Mature now, we're spinning our time. The thread must be perfect, the fabric so fine. A mistake must be suffered, accepted as thine. You can't remove stitches once woven in time. It's all in the fabric, woven tightly in place, the right and the wrong, the guilt and the grace. Stitched side by side, the fabric completed, now laying with others of life's depleted. The one life, one now patched and quilted with time, the mistakes and the wonder that made that life thine, now used as examples that others might see and learn from the patchwork of our family tree. Thank you, everyone.